Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S-4 Bunker. So we are here live from the Cascade Mountains, right in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. Friend, I'm here with my co-host Eric Cooper, Rick Persley, and Rosella Ciro. Friend, so tonight we are talking about time slips, not like the ones you fill out every day at work. Calm down, friend. We're not going to talk about work. Friend, how you guys doing tonight?
We're doing.
Doing great.
Really tired, but good.
Oh, yeah. Doing great.
Perfect. So,
Yes.
what do you guys believe time slips are?
Well, expert, because I have no idea.
Okay, so
As a medium, I feel like you walk into another time period and walk out. Or, drive into a drive out, fly into it, fly out.
okay. So here's the thing. I looked this up. Google doesn't actually have one definition.
Yeah, they have multiple.
They have 5,000.
Oh,
5,000 fucking definitions.
Number one is paranormal episodes during which someone or a group of people somehow experience traveling through time without knowing how or why it occurred.
Oh,
I'm only going to give 3.
they did a TV show on that, didn't they? They jumped through a tube to go to another time. I can't remember the name of it. It was the 80s.
oh yeah. I love
Doctor
that show.
Who.
They did it. No, they did it. It was in the 80s, I think, or 90s.
It was
no,
in the 80s.
80s.
Do you mean
Which
sliders?
show is
Sliders. Yeah.
Friend.
That sounds
Sliders? Yeah.
Kayla, he's talking about sliders.
Yeah. Well,
Quantum
so
Leap. It was called Quantum Leap.
No, there was another show
Oh.
called Sliders that actually was a tube.
yeah.
You jumped into a tube.
Okay,
Correct.
I think I've heard of
Yeah,
that.
it was a syndicated show. It wasn't on the regular networks.
Yeah.
Ah,
Right. So so sliders and quantum leap actually, by that definition, would be seen as form of time slip.
Quantum Leap, though, was
Yeah,
more
true.
of a Bill and Ted type adventure, though.
It was.
They never had any idea where they were actually
It
going
was
to
more comedic.
Friend.
Yeah.
The next definition is when a moment from the past spontaneously intrudes on the present through seemingly unexplained means. So it doesn't actually mean you're going to the past, it means the past is coming to you.
So that could actually be on your realm with past life regression, but you're actually pulling that in versus it just coming to you. Rosella?
yeah. I mean, I don't know about. It's interesting that it's coming to you. I don't know because I've had my experiences. Like I think I told you guys, I had one like a few weeks ago. I went into the movie theater. My daughter is crazy about seeing the Barbie movie, and we walked in, and she was very loud. And she's, just like, we're the only ones here. And she kept saying that over and over, and she was extremely loud. But when I passed, we walked in, we passed by these, the first row seats that are kind of more the supposed to be at the bottom of the theater, and we started to go upward towards the other part, and how they divide the theater in kind of two. And I saw an older couple sitting there. I saw a woman literally first on the aisle seat, and then it looked like her husband would have been her husband sitting next to her. They are probably in their 70s. I can tell you exactly what she looked like. I mean, she was pretty much like blonde, short hair, had glasses, chubby. They were very friendly. They looked at me and smiled both in unison. The husband had kind of like a brownish, curly-ish, more gray hair type, salt and pepper-ish, and he had a golf kind of tan-looking shirt on. Even though the promos were kind of going, the credits and stuff like that, previews, that's what you call them, beforehand, you could still see what they were the colors that they were wearing and what they looked like, and they both smiled at me in unison. My daughter was really loud, and I said, "No, be quiet. There's people right there." And be quiet. And she's like, "Mom, there's no one there." And then I turned around, and there was no one there. It was really strange because I'm like, did I walk into, did I have a time slip, experience, or was it because I'm a medium? I saw it.
I would say because you were a medium, you would see the spirits that were there. So could it be a time slip on their part, possibly, especially if they're wearing period clothes? Yeah, I mean, maybe. He was wearing a golf-like shirt, just normal stuff. but yeah, they just, why would they be sitting in the Barbie movie? Kind of, that crossed my mind too, because after seeing it, it's more a movie for, 40-year-old, I think 40-year-old, 30-year-old adult women. Honestly, I think more adults have been going to see Barbie than kids.
Yeah.
Actually, our local theater here, when they showed it, when our local theater showed it, they didn't allow kids under the age of 13 in.
Well, it's 13 up.
So
yeah, my daughter is 12.
It's not really a child-appropriate movie.
Now, I do want to say this is my favorite thing that Google has to say about time slips. Okay. So, Quoria.com says, "Are time slips real according to physics?" Now, before I tell you this, I believe that this sentence has a time slip in it. It says, "No, there is no physical process for slowing down the perceived duration that we call time is by traveling at a velocity approaching the speed of light." That makes sense to anybody?
Yeah, what the...
a physics professor.
Yeah.
Might have been experimenting with some mushrooms there or something.
No, the thing is...
Yeah, it's a little too much.
Because there is so many definitions of a time slip, the first two are quite well-known ones, but there also is the idea of... the best example would be Betty and Barney Hill.
Okay.
For a time slip where you actually lose a space of time.
So, missing time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is also considered a time slip.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
And honestly, I am going to be of the unpopular opinion on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not tonight, but quite often. It is my belief that most time slips of that nature are medical. And also,
medical?
Yes.
You mean passing out?
Concussions, loss of time through passing out, through comas, through any means of your brain not getting enough oxygen, or your brain shutting down for any reason.
No, how can you, if you're driving and you say that you're driving into the next county or something and it took you 2 minutes when it should have taken you half an hour, how would you explain that? I mean, you still drove there, you still got there.
It's not that type of time loss, but it's not that type of time loss. It's literally, the time has passed for everyone else, but for you, it's almost instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had this happen. Actually, quite a bit in the last couple months, and I believe it's due to me having a stroke. I believe I was actually having mini strokes when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would be in Cedar-Woolley, which is 25 minutes away from my house.
Right.
And I would be halfway home all of a sudden.
Damn.
Yeah, well,
And it's a curvy-ass road. I should have remembered that.
Yeah.
but it's a curvy-ass road that you've driven hundreds of times at this point.
Absolutely.
I mean,
4 times a day, every
But
day.
you're not the only- yeah, but that's the thing. There's a lot of people experience that. I've experienced that where my
Exactly.
brain is wandering and I think of something else. And I'm all of a sudden I'm like, how the hell did I get here so fast? And you're not processing time because you've driven that road and you see the cars in front of you somehow. I'm not sure how it happens, but it's not safe.
Yeah, when you really got to piss, do you notice how time slows down?
Yeah.
Not really.
No?
No, I have.
My legs speed up. Friend. The word fuck speeds up because I'm saying fuck. I gotta go.
And so
Railroad track.
I get self-scheduled by the bridges. So if I hit Mill Creek, I know I'm about 10, 15 minutes away. So I'm sitting there, I'm flying, and I go over Cumberland. Like, what the fuck? I should be at Mill Creek by now.
You mean you just pee yourself?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No, but that means I got it in 30 minutes.
No.
And that's if I don't hit Bigfoot on the way.
But that's not even the unpopular opinion part, guys.
Oh.
I truly believe that at least 50% of people who have said they've been abducted by aliens is a time slip. Only.
I don't even know what to say.
Oh,
It's...
Huh. I mean, well, define that, I guess.
Okay.
Give some example.
So, I've constantly said on this show that I don't believe aliens actually have that much freaking interest in us. We are ants to them.
Well, we're a zoo project.
Not even.
No.
Because we're ants. We're literally ants. We are,
Okay.
friend, almost one-cell organisms. We aren't lab rats. We're not there yet. We don't have the ability to be lab rats because there's no way in hell we could finish any of their mazes. We couldn't get to the goddamn cheese. We'd die.
There's cheese?
Supposedly. See? You can't find the cheese.
They got cheese?
Cheese?
No, fuck that. I want chocolate.
See, we're
They
to the
put
part we don't
chocolate-
even know that the cheese is there.
They put chocolate at the end of that damn thing. I might find it.
Friend, so
That's
the
funny.
fact that we have over... I looked it up and there's like 6 averages that people list. And one is as many as 1 million abductions per year across the world.
No.
Friend, the lowest one I
don't-
saw was 10,000.
I don't buy that one either.
Friend, so
10,000 maybe.
that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as a person who has, I have many degrees, basically, and I have worked in the mental health field for a very long time and that was my residency to work in mental wards. And a lot of those people would say that, in fact, like the number one, I remember, client that we had was actually having relations with her husband when she freaked out. It's just a mental illness that she, had, and she would make up all these things. I remember when I was sitting by her one night, she started telling me that I was an alien and I was this and I was that, and telling me her abduction story, and she had the same story she told everybody. And I think that if somebody really actually has had a real experience, if that is true and out there, and I'm not going to say I believe in it or I do or I don't, because I don't really know. Have I seen things in the sky? Hell yeah. I have seen a lot of things, and I think it's kind of like I see things because maybe it's attracted to me or whatever because of my gift. I've always had a witness with me, my children or my brother. So So I've seen stuff, so I know that things are weird and things that are unexplained, but I don't really know if I believe in abduction. So I can't say that, but I do know that there is mental illness that people have, that they say that they have been abducted and they will tell you every detail.
Yep.
So I do believe that people would say there's a million a year.
So, but with that, you tell yourself the same story over and over again so many times. After a while, you've got it memorized, and
Right.
are going to believe it.
Right.
Does that mean it's not true? Not necessarily. I think, and I'm with Cole to an extent on it. I don't think it's a million a year. Absolutely not. 10,000 maybe at the most. But when you look at abduction, I'm going to say I have to see physical evidence. And not the nosebleed, because that can be anemia, that can be dry air. If you have...
if you're susceptible to nosebleeds,
if you have
a whole lot.
Well, if you have scoop marks, for example, even that to me is a fine line, but it's a possibility. If you have an implant, which they have actually pulled implants out of people, and they are like microchips, they are very finite, very small. I think there's your proof. But for them to actually physically be in the body, those are rare cases.
So don't get me wrong. I am not saying that people aren't getting abducted. But I truly don't think it's as many as believe they have been. Yeah.
No.
Because, okay, if an alien was to come here, number one, they're not that interested in us. We're not the important thing. Earth is.
Absolutely.
Friend. Because it is a Goldilocks planet. Friend. In a Goldilocks system. And to be truthfully honest, it shouldn't exist.
Nope.
So, with that being said, if they are abducting humans, that means they're honestly abducting everything else too. Because they're going to want to study every animal on this planet.
But, so on that too, there have been reports of water samples, soil samples, I think even cattle mutilations that are genuine could be samples. Are they government or are they alien? Who the fuck knows?
But that's my problem. It's always fucking cattle. Like,
when
was the last time an emu was abducted?
That's you.
They found elk, they found deer, they found horses, they found other animals and wildlife that were actually mutilated in much the same way.
I want to see a goddamn seagull.
A seagull?
If you show me a mutilated seagull, friend, then we got
birds ain't real, remember?
Friend, in the United States.
Oh, okay.
Canadian birds are real. The goose is real.
What about penguin?
Friend.
Canada's not real.
Penguins. Canada's absolutely fucking real.
Oh my god.
That's a construct. It's never existed.
Friend. Well, no, it's not a construct, Rick. It's just, it's something that you Americans can never strive to be, honestly.
Hey, we're not the ones that screwed up football, so...
Really?
Yeah.
Friend, because the rest of the country, or the rest of the world plays a different fucking game, can call it football.
Yeah,
and it has for years. Friend, so you guys saw it and were like, we should be allowed to hold the ball.
We should improve it. Make it more exciting. We have the attention span of a gnat. That's why we have football.
Yeah.
No, it's football.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in the Discord, all of my memes tonight will be based off of time movies.
But, yeah, I tried posting actual movie that was about time slip. So there you go.
So
the final countdown was a great movie. It involved time slip.
It's a great song.
Huh?
It's a great song too, by Europe.
No, it's not.
Oh, I love Europe. Come on now.
No.
It's the final countdown.
Remember the commercial? Oh my God, that commercial has driven me crazy because I hated that song to begin with. So
Who sings that song, Eric?
Europe.
Let them.
all right. Well, the movie, in case you haven't seen it, without giving away the ending or anything important, you take the USS Nimitz, a nuclear aircraft carrier, and it's going out to sea to run some trials, or they're just running their normal cruise. They've got a rider on board with them that's been sent by a mysterious benefactor. And they go out, and all of a sudden, this storm appears in front of them, and they're like, "Well, let's just go around it or go off to." So they try to change the directions. They can't get away from it. It's chasing them down, and it's shooting them back in time to 1941, the day before Pearl Harbor is attacked. So then it's up to them. They've got to decide: are we going to stop the attack on Pearl Harbor, or are we going to let it happen and history unfold the way it was supposed to? And so there's a conundrum involving that, and what happens if we interfere, and ultimately it gets resolved without any damage being done. But it sets up the ending. Stuff happened to happen for the mysterious benefactor to have become part of the story in the first place. So he's at the beginning and at the end, but you don't see him until the very end. So it's all tied into the whole why are we back in time. So it's a fascinating movie. For a dumb, I think it was Burt Lancaster, Lloyd Bridges? Can't remember. So that was a good movie.
You mean that made it, or who starred in it?
That starred in it.
Kirk Douglas and Martin Sheen.
There you go.
Ooh, Martin Sheen.
Yep.
Friend, quit playing footsies with me, Eric. That's weird. They couldn't stop Pearl Harbor.
No. Well, they weren't supposed to stop Pearl Harbor.
They literally can't. Like they could, but it would change it would create a paradox.
Yep.
Yeah, just create a different little timeline. So
Completely, because the Nazis would have won.
Mm-hmm.
How would the Nazis have won if we had a nuclear aircraft carrier on our side with fighter jets that they had no comprehension of how to even think about taking down?
Because the only reason that the United States joined the Allied forces was because of Pearl Harbor. If they stopped Pearl Harbor,
an aircraft carrier shows up, blows up a bunch of Japanese ships trying to attack, sneaking up to attack.
Yeah.
And they're coming from the future. They're going to be showing up in a nuclear aircraft carrier. I'm pretty sure they're going to look at them and go, they must be from the future. They're probably going to figure it out. So,
Rick, if they would have stopped Pearl Harbor from actually happening, the only thing that fueled the United States into joining the Axis, or the Allied, is the fact that they were hurt so bad. If they would have won Pearl Harbor right off the bat, they would have continued selling to both sides. Because that's the thing. Until then, until that day, 2 days before Pearl Harbor, the United States sold guns to the Nazis.
We were still selling. Henry Ford had a factory in Nazi Germany while the war was going on after we got involved in it, and he made money off of it.
Yeah, but the United States government wasn't involved then. They pulled their support for Henry Ford once they got onto the Allied forces. They would have kept their support right there. They would have given them everything they could just to make more money, because that's what it was about at that point. It was about getting out of the recession completely. Because the idea was you get out of a recession so it would never happen again. And then look what happened. But
wars do make money.
Yeah. As long as you're on the right side.
Yep.
Well, if you're on the wrong side, sometimes you can still make money. If you just get out ahead of the guys in charge.
But Honestly, I think it would have created too much of a paradox that the Nazis would have won in any case if they would have stopped it and won.
I'm just going to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
I think a large nuclear-powered aircraft carrier with fighter wings made up of the top-of-the-line Navy jets at the time, plus all of our advanced radar, and there's no way we would have lost it. With that one carrier alone, we would have beat the Japanese fleet into submission immediately. We would have taken them out. That's what they were doing in the movie. They were sending the jets to take out the Japanese carriers when the storm shows back up, to take them back to the present. That's what was going to happen. They were going to destroy. That's it. The Japanese fleet is toast. They're going to lose all their carrier or their fighter wings immediately. What happened at Midway? They lost 3 carriers. Actually, they lost 4 carriers. And that effectively did them in for the rest of the war because they did not have the manpower available in terms of pilots, qualified pilots left. So they were on their heels going backwards from Midway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you take them out immediately before they have a chance to do anything, then the Japanese are never a factor in World War II. They're done.
You're right. The Pacific never happened.
But it never happened because we shot them back to the present, so they didn't get a chance. So
no, what I'm saying is the Pacific never would have happened. You're right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Germany would have still taken it all over Europe because the United States would not have gotten involved in the German part.
Well, but you got to remember also that Hitler was still going to invade Russia no matter what happened, and that effectively did him in.
Yeah.
We weren't even really. Yeah, that happened before we got in. He invaded Russia before we were into the war.
Yeah,
and
Russia was starting to lose.
Yeah, well, but the Russians moved all their factories and all their stuff out to the far east, their east, and they just basically were in a defensive position waiting for winter to hit. And sure enough, when it did, that was that. Then all that stuff, all those factories and all the workers and everything that were back behind the lines, way back, they were putting out tanks as fast as they could get them out the door. So that Germans were going to lose. The Russians were going to kick their butts no matter what. So
depends on who had more money. Who was willing to pay more for that to get the plans for that nuclear sub?
Well, it depends if Hitler decided to actually invest in the nuclear programs instead of all these wonder weapons that about 90% of them didn't work. But you actually had physicists that knew what they were doing. And they were close.
Yeah.
Not close enough, but they were close.
But that's the thing. If he he wouldn't have needed the scientists and everything behind him if he would have had the U.S. selling it to him.
True, but why would the U.S. sell to them when we were effectively Roosevelt and Churchill were boys? So, and
to a point.
But yeah,
if you're really boys, you're not going to sell weapons behind the guy's back.
Well, but we weren't in the war. You can't really tell private businesses that they can't get involved unless you. We were selling destroyers to the British before we got involved. So, I mean,
but it wasn't just private businesses. It was the U.S. government also selling to the Germans and the British.
Yeah.
The only person they refused to sell to is the fucking French. And that's why all of France was gone.
I just don't see us getting on board with the Germans. I think if nothing else, as socialist as the FDR was, I'm fairly sure that they would have gone the Russian route. I don't think that. Yeah, they might have been playing the both sides thing, but they could have gotten a lot of money out of Russia too. So,
well, here's the thing, though. I don't know how long Roosevelt, if that would have happened that way, I don't know how long Roosevelt would have been in power. He could have been our next Lincoln.
Could have been, or he could.
Because that could have made a lot of people in the United States very power hungry.
Well, if he's not, or if he's just not. I mean, we took out the Japanese. suddenly we've got this miraculous weapon. We don't need him to tell us what to do anymore. You know, we will get another guy to put in there for the next election. So, yeah, who knows?
Actually, I want to break in with something. Friend, I found out an interesting war fact today. No, yesterday. Do you guys know who the most notable person ever in the United States Navy was?
Nimitz, Halsey. No, Nimitz would have been, but
Not even close.
Who?
Not even close. Not even close. Donald Duck.
I got it.
Oh,
Donald Duck was actually made a service member of the United States Navy, and he was discharged in 1984 honorably.
Damn.
oh,
It's actually true because I live next to the Dayton Air Force Museum, and we go like every weekend pretty much in the winter. And that is true. When you look at all of the sides of their, the planes from World War II, they all have Disney characters on them.
Yeah, and Donald Duck was actually, he has a service record with the Navy. And he was given medals for his work on propaganda.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was so freaking cool. Disney did one good thing in their life.
That is so funny.
Of course, now they're fucking it all up, but hey.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And-
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just put all my links out there. It took me forever to gather them, so I was like, oh gosh. But I put all my stuff out there if anybody's ever interested in a reading or my book, basically called The Haunting at 2095, and then my haunted travel blog as well. And I'm finishing my novel 911 Emergency. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in what I do and you want to book a reading, that's what I do from home generally and write. So let me know. Message me or whatever. But, yeah.
Which
And
means
just so
if
everyone
you're-
knows, the message is also pinned to the top.
and which also
Oh.
means if you're listening, you need to be in the Discord chat room.
Yes.
You want me to pin it to the top?
I already
Or-
did.
Oh, thank
Already
you.
done.
I don't know how to do that. Well, thank you. That's
No
very
worries.
sweet. Thank you. So, yes, and I'm going to be on From the Shadows, a podcast on their Halloween feature on actually Halloween night, talking about all of my experiences. I mean, I think I've told you guys I have like 8 maybe a day just in my normal life, going places. And in this house, because I do so much spirit work and readings, and a lot of great protection in here. But things will fly across my house all the time. I mean, my family's just used to it. Lights turn on and off. Light bulbs burst. I've had a lot of glass burst, like out of nowhere. It's very interesting. I do a lot of channeling, apparently, when I'm angry, and I break a lot of light bulbs, and especially measuring cups. I'm a little scary. But yeah, I've had really, really weird experiences, but I write about all my experiences and stuff like that too, and then I fully do readings at home, and that's my job. So I'm a psychic medium, and I actually do healings too. Like people have cancer, car accident issues, especially with their spine or neck. I've done healings for them. I'm just like a born healer. I've been born with this gift. So yeah, so if anybody's interested in anything I do, which is always something crazy, just let me know. Well, yeah. So hopefully I'm always keeping things interesting.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, okay, so we all agree quantum leap would be considered a time slip.
I
Yeah.
think so.
yeah.
I mean,
What do you
actually, as a
think-
kid, that was one of my favorite shows.
What do you think causes time slips? Do you think do you think a portal opening up? Do you think?
You know, that's the interesting question, is what does cause it? Does a person cause it? Are you, I don't know, are you kind of manifesting it without knowing? It's kind of interesting.
I guess it depends on the situation and the person. Because the one I walked through in Germany, I definitely didn't ask for. So I'm gonna kind of go. I don't know what makes them open, or why they open when they do. I think location has a big part on it.
Yeah. I think it's easily an experience that there's been some tragic event there. Yeah.
Or maybe not tragic, but significant.
Yeah, what was your experience?
So I'm having a hard time talking because of my job. But so I'll try to
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. So I'll try to describe it, but I was walking down an alley. This would be in 92 in Bad Hersfeld, Germany. And it was probably about 10 or 11 because my buddy and I were walking into a bar. And we were both witness, so I know I wasn't, it wasn't like it just happened to me. No, it happened to him too. We just didn't know it at the time. But we were walking down this alley towards what would be called the Ratskiller. And in German, that is, oh God, what's the translation? It's a government building.
Brothel.
No. That's the poof house. Literally, it's poop house.
You said government building, I just assumed.
Oh, anyway, the Rothkiller would have been back in the day your town square, your town center. And in 92 when we were walking through the alley, it was a restaurant. But our vision turned to black and white. And in front of us was a 1920s limousine with the Nazi flag on one side, the German flag on the other.
Ooh.
And out of the building came Hitler and his entourage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's spooky.
Holy crap.
Well, it didn't. It was weird because neither one of us freaked out. It was just, and we didn't know the other was seeing it until after the fact.
Did you know who it was, or did you?
Yeah,
because you were young. Did you know that image?
We knew who it was. We knew what we were looking at, but honestly, it didn't click in our brain fully what we were witnessing. And it was weird because they all stopped and they turned their heads and looked at us. But again, they didn't look shocked. Oh wait, there's two GIs walking down the alley in jeans and a t-shirt. They didn't look shocked, so I don't know what they saw. They didn't look spooked. It was like an everyday night in Germany. And so we, got to the end of the alley. We turned left and walked up the street like we always would, and our vision went back to normal. And we walked in silence for about 5 minutes, and then he stopped and he said, "Dude, I gotta ask you something." We're like, "You fucking saw it too?"
Yep.
And so then we both compared notes and both saw the same thing. So yeah, I think we walked through a time slip. And to this day, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just one of the only time slip stories I can think of that I've experienced.
That's interesting.
And it doesn't spook me. It doesn't, it's just, that was weird,
Yeah, that's really crazy. I mean, wow. It'd be interesting to hear from other people out there if they've had one or not and like what their story is, because that's really fascinating to me. I mean, there's also like people who think that these, some people go into a time slip and they never come out. I mean, wasn't there some Alaskan plane that was never heard from again or something?
Well, and so that brings the other point too. Missing 411, all the people that go missing in the National Forest. Do you think some of them, not all, because I don't think there's nearly, again, like the alien abductions, I don't think there's nearly as many of the millions of people that go disappearing. I don't think they're paranormal. I'm not going to harp on that a whole lot because we did a whole show on missing people here not too long ago. But, is that, do you think time slips or portals or whatever are maybe 1 in a million walks into one and doesn't come out?
That'd be fucked
Would
up.
be.
Yeah,
That'd be fucked up.
I'd rather win
I mean,
the
I-
lottery.
Because what if it's just like a lot? Like what if it's like an elevator that they're going through?
Yeah.
And all of a
Right,
sudden they're all going to come out at the same goddamn time on the other side. So like, you got some that have been missing for years,
Right.
and some that it's only been about 20 minutes, but they all show up all at the same time. Now you've got another TV show off NBC. Like, by the way, you had asked what creates time slips. According to Quantum Leap, it's called Ziggy.
Ziggy.
Ziggy creates time
Okay.
slips.
Isn't that the guy who would send him through?
Well,
No.
it's the
Ziggy was, yeah, that was Al.
Oh.
Al was his best friend.
Alice, okay. I'm trying to remember. I used to
Ziggy
watch
was a
the reruns all
supercomputer.
the time. That was such a good show.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
So was actually the recreation. The
Oh, they
continuation.
had somebody. I think they did recreate it. I never watched
Yeah.
it.
And well, they didn't recreate it. They actually, so they just
They
They
restarted.
they restarted it
Right.
in 2023.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I saw some commercial for it, but to me, it's like not the same. I'm one of those old souls. Like,
Yeah.
you can't recreate Andy Griffith. Like, just you can't.
Well, we're waiting for a season 2, and supposedly they are going to bring back Scott Bakula.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
So, yes, they're going to bring him back.
That's still on the air?
Yeah.
It's a new one.
It's
Oh.
new. They
Okay.
remade it.
It's all the kids of the scientists that were working to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
They continued the work. But they weren't actually trying to bring him back. They were just trying to make it work this time.
Interesting.
And so they basically booted another person into the system or the time slip machine.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
name's Ben Song.
Yep.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah.
it's actually a good continuation of it.
Yeah, see, that's
Oh,
better.
Yeah, I should try to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the reboot. And continuations are okay, I guess. Sometimes some are good, some are,
Right.
they probably should. The whole rebooting of Magnum PI, which I just
What?
hated it. I tried to give it a
Did
chance.
you make them PI?
No, they've
Oh my
already done
God.
it. It's been out for 5
Man,
seasons.
fuck that. No, you know what? I'm happy where I'm at. I'm on season 11 of Criminal Minds. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they,
No, I'm not like a big fan of remakes. I'm just
No.
not, or like
No.
spin-offs anymore.
well, Eric, now they rebooted where they brought back Criminal Minds. It's,
Absolutely. And I watched the first 2 episodes of the season 16 reboot, and the concept they came up with, I thought was phenomenal. With
yeah, we
that.
watched only 3. It was Paula and I watched that, and she'd never watched the show before, so.
Okay.
So she was getting introduced to the characters and everything, and like I was telling her, there are
Dude.
all kinds of people that have been part of the show that aren't on there anymore. So,
No, exactly. I was about to say, the characters, no, you don't know the characters until you go back to season 1.
Yeah.
And then meet the characters, and then compare it to 16.
So one of the podcasts I listen to has decided that because they're in the future, it's like 2046 where they're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
They've decided that Disney has stopped making recreations. They've stopped
Good.
recreating all their animated films.
Yeah.
That time.
I'm going to actually rephrase that. They've stopped recreating their animations. They are now recreating the live action films of the animations into anime.
Oh, God. They're bored. They're desperate for new ideas.
I can see that. Yes.
Right? Like, we're probably only 5 years away from that.
well, but poor Harrison Ford, he's under the delusion that they'll never make another Indiana Jones movie. I'm the only guy to play Indiana Jones. But he doesn't understand his AI. How they can just CGI him with this
No, they
voice.
can't.
Well, why not?
because he signed a thing against it.
Good.
Well, that's
He can't be used.
he doesn't own the franchise.
Well, when he's dead, it wouldn't matter.
No, but he owns his own licensing.
He owns his character.
They can't use his voice. They can't
He
use
did?
his likeness.
Really?
Yeah, the character belongs to Disney.
Yep.
I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
That's pretty smart.
because that Black Mirror scared the shit out of every actor in the world.
well, yeah.
I didn't see the new one.
Okay, so in one of the episodes,
Black Mirror.
spoilers for anyone's. Have you ever heard or have you ever seen that, Rosella?
The
Black
Indiana
Mirror?
Jones?
No, Black Mirror.
Oh.
No.
Okay, so it's a show that kind of shows really bad things that can happen just based on the direction we're going.
Oh.
And in the first episode of the new season, spoilers for everyone, just they use an AI based off of a quantum computer to recreate actors.
Ooh.
That's right.
And you
Wow.
know how we sign huge terms and conditions when it comes to streaming services?
Uh-huh.
Well, they add a thing that allows them to completely reenact your life.
Oh, man.
Well, they're going to have a very boring program with me.
Well, not
Well-
with me, they wouldn't.
So I can't remember the girl's name, but it's that they name the show, I think it's Bella or something, and they say Bella is a horrible person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
And it just goes through a day of her just doing horrible stuff.
Wow.
Like all the little things that people do on an average day to day that you don't ever actually want anyone to see.
Right.
You
Yeah,
try and
yeah.
do just all the little thoughts you have. That kind of stuff. Everything.
Jeez.
So,
Oh, boy.
yeah, like, and then
Yeah.
they actually take it to the point where she's trying to stop them from doing it. And she thinks, well, the actress who's playing me will never allow them to let this air. So she goes and takes a crap in the middle of a church. And
Oh, what?
when the actress finds out, she finds out because she signed them the ability for them to use her likeness, she has no ability to stop it either.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's horrible.
God, no thanks.
I've never seen an episode of that show, but I've read all the synopsis on all of it. It takes the Twilight Zone premise, but
It
really
sounds-
moves it to modern time, and it is really frightening.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone was a little bit more all over the place. They had some stuff that wasn't necessarily as sci-fi-ish all the time, but
Right.
yeah, but they did have the allegory episodes and how this is nuclear weapons or whatever. So it's very much in that vein of the
This
Twilight
one
Zone.
is way more. It's way more conceivable.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
Wow.
trying.
Well, we have AI now that's out there writing movies. Well, they can't do it anymore because the Writers Guild won. So
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Actually,
Well, they just got
Today-
resolved. Yeah.
Yeah.
today
Yep.
marked a milestone for AI. Warner Music has signed the first record deal with an AI pop artist.
It's not a record deal if it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
It's completely written by the AI computer, including the music, the lyrics, and sung by it.
What's it going to do with the money?
Huh?
That is
Well, that's not a
weird.
contract. It doesn't have to have a contract. It's not
Buy
a.
more RAM?
A terabyte.
Walking
Sure.
tulpas or something.
It's gonna buy a terabyte.
Yeah, it's because
Wow.
it needs more room to download illegal music
Yep.
off of Napster.
Yep. Limelight.
That is really, that is so crazy.
So an idea I've got. Men in Black. About 80% of the descriptions of Men in Black outside of it's a government agency coming and knocking on your door, always have 1950s clothing and hats and cars and whatnot.
So we're talking paranormal man in black, not government.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think those are time slips? Do you think they time slip?
Or are they time police?
Yeah, I was gonna say something like that.
That they're watch the. Well, Cole knows something about this with the Loki season 1 and at the time was TVA.
Yeah.
The Time Variance Authority, and basically their whole job is just to snuff out all these other timelines that could, if they're all allowed to exist, everything will go to crap, and there'll be this huge war. So they keep snuffing out every time somebody gets out of line or starts to create a separate timeline. They come in and they zap it out of existence. So yeah,
What do you call it? It's kind of like 1984 of timelines.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Brother's going to get you kind of thing.
Exactly.
So, in order to believe in a time variant authority or a time police,
Yeah.
you have to believe that there is such thing as a multiverse. You have to believe in string theory. You have to bring so many physical theories into it.
You have to believe in Jean-Claude Van Damme because he's time cop.
No, friend, because it doesn't matter what timeline you're in. Chuck Norris still kicks his ass, right?
Yeah, true.
But no, like you have to tie so many theories into that I don't know. You're getting into Jeremy Bearimy. Does anyone understand that reference?
No.
If you okay,
I had
so
another
this
one.
reference is from The Good Place. It's another NBC show.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I know
place.
that one.
Okay, so if you take your finger and you write the name Jeremy Berry in the sky, every single time you write it, it'll be different. It will never, ever be the same. You cannot train yourself to write that up in the sky
Dude,
the exact same every time.
I saw my name is never the same. It's scribble.
Exactly. You think of how hard that is, try doing it up there, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, that's hard.
So, in order for a time variant police to work, they would have to be able to do that.
Well, yeah.
It's proven by physics to be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Except at a quantum level. So they'd have to be doing it at such a small as, like, it wouldn't be, they would never, how do I say this? They wouldn't be Men in Black. They wouldn't be able to exist in this realm.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they'd be too small. We would never see them. Nah, like, Eric just made, like,
I get it.
a dime for in between his fingers. Not even.
Microscopic.
Below that. Like, so small that most microscopes couldn't pick it up. Friend. Yeah. Like, it's adding on to the existence of other realms as well as other timelines. And then you get into the problem of, well, what if this timeline doesn't have those realms? All of a sudden, the time police don't exist there? Friend, like, it's so messed up, it's almost too much for a brain.
Yeah. So do you think what CERN does is causing time slips?
No, just earthquakes. Ask Haiti. And Chile.
Well, there is a theory, like that I don't know, how to explain it. There was a theory, I guess, that I will say a credit to ghost hunters. It was a very long time ago when they just began and started kind of getting like bigger into maybe season, honestly, like 2 or 3, where they went to this train station. I mean, I just remember this vividly because this is like a time slip. This is what I thought. They were talking to this woman who was saying that she was waiting for her husband to come home from World War I or something. Like, she was waiting, and she told them exactly what time it was, what the date was, everything. And it was like, it just felt like a time slip to me. Like, there's a theory, I guess, that people have of we live, like, it could be 1958 right now, exactly where I am, in 1958, and somebody just walks into this room where I'm at, and they see me. You know, if this house existed then, that kind of thing, where I'm at. But could that be a time slip? Like, you walk into, a place, you're in a certain location, and all of a sudden it turns into a time slip. Like, why? Like, we don't really know, but there's a theory of we live on top of each other in time. So, it's hard to explain, but it really seemed very evident during that episode that this is something that probably could be really happening. I mean, he's talking to a woman who was talking to her from a certain year. She was like, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm waiting for my husband. But every time they came back and they were talking to her, even hours later, her time didn't change. But our time did, like our actual time that they're videoing. It's like, this has been hours later and she's still saying it's 4:00. So it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
There has been, I know this one story, now I don't know where I heard it, but I always remember it too, where this man was walking around the gardens where this castle was, like, I mean, he was in Europe and stuff, and all of a sudden he like walked into this area and he's like, oh my God, that's like Anne, what is it? Antoinette, the woman who had her head cut off. It's really late in my little world. It's 1:57 in the morning, so. But Marie Antoinette, that's it. She had her head cut off, right? She was the queen, and she was the famous one for saying, let them eat cake. But this man was walking right by, and he recognized her from seeing her in paintings in his childhood, and just like walked through these gardens where she used to live, and then all of a sudden walked out of this time slip, and he said that it even kind of got blurry for a second, and he was back in his own time. So, I mean, that's a remarkable thing that people say that they experience this kind of stuff every day.
Yeah.
Any theories on that? I mean, it's very interesting.
I don't know.
You guys got real quiet.
We're thinking.
You're thinking. Well, what do you think about time stacked on top of time as a theory?
Time, okay. What specifically? How would that happen? I mean, how would it work?
I don't know. I think that's like the fascinating kind of thing is, like, it could be 2019, still in this room. Would I be sitting here?
Right.
That kind of thing. So does time, I don't know, does time, there's, of course, the famous title, A Wrinkle in Time, doesn't come out of nowhere. I mean, that sounds like a time slip itself, kind of, in a way. It's just kind of interesting how time can maybe stack on top of each other in terms of, like, years or something like that. But I don't know how I would draw it out, to show somebody a map of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's well, to be honest, I don't think physics will tell you that time is, there's all these rules in place that make sure that time can't do certain things. We can't do time travel because all this and that, and our brains just haven't gotten to the point where we can comprehend. And what Cole was talking about with the quantum level stuff, if we ever figure that out, then maybe we'll understand time better, I guess. But honestly, there's so much of the world that just, and again, it's, of course, this is what we talk about every week. Well, why do people just walk or just vanish? Just disappeared in thin air. Why does that happen? How that could that happen? Or people see Bigfoot or aliens or abducting people. Well, I mean, you can write a lot of it off to. You can explain enough away, but things just happen that you can't explain. It's just not unexplainable. So
that's true.
That's the whole thing. I think all this would be explainable somewhere down the road. We just aren't capable of figuring it out yet. So that's entirely possible that, time stacking on top of time, or there are these glitches in the Matrix. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is all some kind of artificial intelligence. Maybe we're, it could be snuffed out when they get tired of playing the game. I don't know. So, which would be terrible.
Glitches in the Matrix is interesting, but what if they're just glitches in the human brain? There's parts of the brain we don't even know what they do yet.
Exactly. That's entirely possible. That's a good theory.
What if parts of the brain combined and together cause the time slips?
Rick, you were saying that maybe our brains just can't handle it yet? The problem is, once we figure it out, time stops existing.
Well, and I think that's why we're not meant to know.
Because time is a construct.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally, we literally created it.
Well, it's true.
The idea of using the quantum level to actually travel past the speed of light. Yes, it's probably possible. I don't honestly believe it'll ever be possible for us. Ant-Man will never be real. I'm sorry, Rick. I feel like I just ruined Christmas.
Well, think about it. Your point was time was irrelevant in the beginning of civilization. Time was when that big ball of light came in the sky and you knew you had to plant, and it came over and it got dark, you went to bed. And all of a sudden that ball of light, that ball of fire came back in the sky, you woke up because it woke you up. And that was time.
But that's the thing. Before humans, animals, even plants, time doesn't exist.
No, nothing knew time. Nothing you give a shit about. Oh, I'm going to be at the mall at 2 o'clock.
So the thing is, once we actually figure out how to travel past the speed of light, again, time will not exist because it'll hold no bearing. If we can travel to anywhere in time, what bearing does it have on us anymore?
Yeah. True.
Well,
because we can't honestly also guarantee what our bodies will do if we do that.
Right.
Like if we travel back 15 years, are we going to get 15 years younger? Maybe. There's no guarantees.
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
It'd be weirder if we traveled back like 120 years. And all of a sudden you're swimming in the ocean.
Yes.
Right.
It's one of those things where if you think about it too much, it becomes too
it hurts your brain.
Yeah, you run into too many doors.
Yeah. I think they call those rabbit holes.
So, Roselle, I got to tell you something.
Huh.
You mentioned Marie Antoinette. And
I mentioned what?
Marie Antoinette.
Oh, yes.
And I have squirrel syndrome. I saw something shiny, and I had to go after it. Because I was thinking, the 1700s, did they actually have cake?
Actually, yes.
I looked it up. They did.
Yeah.
But she didn't say that.
Yeah, she did.
No, she didn't.
Who said it?
Friend, they don't know. The first time it was ever actually conceived to be said that they know of was possible that it was Marie Theresa, the Spanish princess who married King Louis the 16th. No, 14th. In 1660, she had allegedly suggested that the French people eat la croûte de pâté, or the crust of the pâté.
Because of the revolution?
Yeah. Marie Antoinette, apparently, she wouldn't have said it. Because she was considered very intelligent, and she donated generously to charitable causes, and despite her own undeniably lavish lifestyle, displayed sensitivity towards the poor population of France.
This is the woman who said it, or Marie?
Marie Antoinette.
Okay. I think that's why people think that she did say it. But yeah, I know it was during the revolution. That is where the phrase came from.
Yeah.
Let them eat cake because they weren't getting flour.
Yeah, because they couldn't afford bread.
Yes.
And
right.
It came out that supposedly she said, let them eat cake instead. And she became a hated symbol of the monarchy.
Hmm.
But it wasn't her that actually said it.
That's insane.
Quite a bit in history. People get misattributed to a lot of things in history, so...
Right?
Yeah.
But that kind of sucks. It's the most noted thing for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Les Miserables is all based off of the revolution, and like that's where you hear the "Let 'em eat cake" and everything, because the Les Miserables, like it's the hugest book of all time, but they are thieving normally bread because they don't have flour. So that's where the whole story begins.
Well, and then the thing is, like, over the next century, several other 18th century royals were also blamed for the remark, including 2 aunts of Louis XVI.
I want some cake.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like,
That's interesting that you found that. How cool.
For a History Channel rocks.
Yeah, I'm going to have to tell my mother, because she's the one who always said that because of Les Miserables. That's our favorite like thing to go see, but it's all about that revolution. So interesting. But yeah, because I knew she was really hated, but like she was hated, wrongfully hated. They don't say why.
They didn't like anybody at that point. It was in power. Basically, they not only they took out the monarchy, so they took out her and King Louis, which one it was, but they took them out. But they also took out a bunch, and this is my little naval history thing that I have in this little side thing, and they took out almost all of the leadership in the armed services they had, so the Army and the Navy, and got rid of them. Just executed them all on the spot. Got rid of them all. So just we don't want anybody because they were all guilty of being part of the system. So they just got rid of all of them. And so it took, and it's where Napoleon starts to slide into the whole thing, because he's like, hey, I wasn't part of this. I was off here. I was just a soldier. Now I'm an emperor. So,
do you guys ever watch that show? It's called like Monarch or something like that, and it's episodes. I think it is on the History Channel, but I've streamed it on Hulu. About these royals, like they'll pick an individual basically, and it's insane the stuff that comes up. But you're right, like that Napoleon thing, and that's how he snuck in, because they literally talk about that in one of those. He was the last one I watched, and then I'm like, well, this is really disgusting. I can't watch this for a while.
Well, you know where they went wrong? If the first guy that you name Louis doesn't make it, probably don't name the next 6 after him. Like, Jesus freaking Christ.
I mean, I totally agree with that. What is the renaming? And then we came over here and we did the same thing. New England.
Yeah. We're in, yeah, New Orleans. We're in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything's new.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm in Ohio, and we have a new Lebanon, and then we have a Lebanon. And so I'm like, really, which one came first, the Lebanon or the new Lebanon? Because they're really far apart. So I'm just kind of wondering.
See, we're in Washington. By the time the explorers got here, they just got lazy, so everything is just the same name. Like we have Bremerton, Bellingham, Burlington, Mount Vernon. Like,
Concrete. We're gonna name it after what we built the end.
New Mount Vernon.
like yeah, like
You know why this is Washington and not? They originally wanted to call it Columbia.
because this is where the cherry tree was.
Because
Yep.
Oh,
they wanted to call it Columbia, but they were afraid that it would get confused. It would always be lumped in with the District of Columbia. So they went.
Yeah, we already get confused with Washington D.C. as a Washington.
Washington. Yeah. So they screwed up. They outthought themselves. So they thought it'd be always confused with the other Columbia, District of Columbia. Instead, they both wound up being called Washington.
Uh-huh.
Yay!
so now should we change our name?
About that.
Do we need to change our name now?
Awesome facts.
Yep.
Do we?
My fiance has a huge, like this. That's her sort of thing. Is she loves all the stuff about the state history and everything. So yeah,
Trump man.
she's pointed that out to me several times. And I went to Columbia High School in Texas, so which had nothing to do with anything. But it's just a little thing. It's just weird.
It's an odd connection, correlation, you know?
Yeah. It was all
Yeah,
distant.
that's funny.
But like, do we need to change our name now?
Yes, we need to go back.
Because they're no longer a district.
No. Wait, did they change all that finally?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Washington, D.C. is actually a state.
No,
So it's no
officially.
longer a district.
Not
It's just
officially
D.C. Yeah, it is.
They're still changing the flags and all that shit.
Oh, that
I've
don't
never
fucking
heard
count.
that.
Nobody cares about the
I
flags
know,
anymore.
I know.
They've proven that.
Yeah, no, they officially made it a state. Last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, don't they have their own dollar already?
They in the truest sense of the word. They're allowed to do all the same voting things that we are, but they're just not considered a state. They're not getting
Yeah,
put
'cause
on the
that's
flag.
fun.
They're not on the flag.
Yeah, that would ruin so much.
But when we put Puerto
I
Rico
swear
in,
they're adding them to the flag.
I think they're making a new one.
but if they're going to do it, they need to do it evenly. Otherwise, it's going to look weird. So put Puerto Rico in.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
And then they gotta go to the moon and take our flag down and replace it with the new one. And yeah,
Or we could just invade Canada and pick up about 8 or 9 other states, and then boom, off we're done.
Well, I was going to say, like, you know, we still own, like, Haiti, right? Isn't it Haiti?
Yeah.
no, I don't think
We
they
are
took
in
over Haiti.
charge. Well, it's like the same thing as Puerto Rico. I'm pretty sure it's Haiti. Or Dominican Republic. Or Dominican Republic.
Because they have revolutions down there every 10 or so
Every
Well,
year.
yeah, they still do, yeah.
It's not Jamaica. It's Puerto Rico. But you're right. There's another one, and I cannot.
It is,
Well,
I swear though, it is one of those, Haiti or Dominican Republic, but I think it's Dominican Republic. I've had my sister goes there all the time, but they have, I think they even have American money, but you know, Conan O'Brien, when he had his show, he used to do this travel thing, and he went to Dominican, I think it was Dominican Republic, and he was talking to them, and they were talking about our presidential election. So, and how they could not vote, but it was part of our American territory. So it was one of those countries.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to admit I'm one of the most terrible people with it, because much as I love history, I know nothing about what belongs to who anymore.
Yeah, it's horrible to keep up. Well, I didn't even know about that district thing until you told me. Like, what?
Nope. Yeah, it is.
I used to live in Maryland for a while, and actually D.C. So,
I'm talking about it. I just didn't know it had gotten officially put in.
yeah, it's interesting. It's so weird how fast how things can change.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Congress is still discussing it.
Yeah, it's not a state yet.
No, it is a state.
It is.
They are still discussing whether to put it as a 51st number or flag or star on the flag.
Oh, we could, to make it even, we could always just, because they want to do it anyway, slice off part of Oregon and Washington, and I think they said Idaho would create a new state. There's a big group of them down there that are the
Renovant or some shit like that.
Yeah.
A bunch of stupid people that,
So,
Okay, so-
if they did it, it would descend for a 51 star version 989898.
Wrong.
And they have
All right,
already
thank
had
you.
them made.
I was just saying wrong because I don't want them in. I want it to be 50.
Well, this
Right.
says that for the Dominican Republic is said because of its close diplomatic relations with the United States since 1884, many people believe that the Dominican Republic is part of the U.S. However, the two are sovereign states with separate governments. So, interesting.
Yeah.
But because like they were like, okay, I know that people were saying that they were mad because they could not vote, like because they wanted to vote for our president or something when Conan was interviewing them.
Right.
I'm like, what the hell is that? Yeah. So yeah, interesting. I don't know. It would throw off the whole flag of the United States if they do this. Make Washington D.C. a state. Kind of weird. I don't know if I like that.
They're not even big enough to be a state. Neither is Rhode Island, now they say that. So
Yeah, it's not big, that's for sure, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Texas will gladly be able to tell you that you could probably put 1,000 of them inside the state of Texas and they still wouldn't fill it all up. We do that sort of thing, or they do. I don't live there anymore. So
The thing is, if they are going to accept sovereign nations like Puerto Rico and the Dominican,
but
they
Puerto
really
Rico's
should.
a sovereign nation. It is a territory.
Yeah,
It
but
belongs-
if they are going to put but Puerto Rico's fighting for a fucking star, and if they are going to put them on, they really should recognize. How about maybe the first ones that were here before the white people, which would make the flag 500 or 624 stars. Because there are 574 federally recognized Indian nations within the United States.
Yeah. That'd be pretty hard to put on that flag.
That'll fit. We got it.
I don't want to knit that flag.
You just,
on that flag.
you get about 10 60-year-old Native women, they can make anything. They'll even make it out of leather.
Oh my!
Well, I feel like we don't really have a theory on time slips yet.
No,
We never do. We never
No, you
do.
will.
Yeah.
this is how the show
But
goes.
don't worry, we can talk about anything, and at the end of it, I'll figure out a way to bring it back. And tie it all together.
Well,
Brad.
has anybody else had a time slip, like, besides the one that you talked about in Germany then?
Oh, well, I had something that would be considered a time slip, but I think it falls more into Cole's experience where, like, his was a stroke, his theory. Mine was...
Sure, call me out.
I was coming back from driver's ed, and it's Texas summer day. It's the middle of summer, was riding my bicycle back because I lived right down the road from where the site was. It was the trailer with the wheel. You sit behind the pretend wheel, and they'd show you death on the highway. Yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, I'm riding home, and I make the turn to go onto my street, and I lost like 2 seconds went by, and I'm on the ground, and I can't figure out how I got to the ground. Nothing hit me. So I'm okay. I've got a bump on my head, but I figure it must have just been, I must have got heat exhaustion, or I must have passed out. I didn't eat breakfast that morning. I remember not doing that. So, I mean, but it seemed like, like there was a passage of time. I was out for more than just a couple of seconds, because I looked down at my watch and it was 12:07 because I wanted to get home in time to watch a show. And when I got up and realized, and I was like, God, how did I get on the ground? And then I look at the clock, and it's already 12:15. So I lost 8 minutes, but it didn't feel like 8 minutes. It felt like maybe a second or two.
Wow.
So, well, one, it's not the busiest road, but people do go down it. Nobody saw a kid laying in the grass unconscious. So
I mean, yeah, that's kind of
that's a fun thing. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with a concussion after I went to the emergency room. But the concussion was caused because I passed out, theoretically.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you're lucky that you didn't get killed. Really, somebody would land on the road that could have hit you.
Yeah,
or knocked you
around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been very bad. So, but yeah, that actually happened. That's the one. Other than what Eric and I were talking about, where you drive and you just sort of you don't know how you got to one place. Like I don't remember getting here, and but that's more. Like I said, I believe that's more off to your mind's wandering. You've done the road 100 times. You've been in traffic 1,000,000 times. You're on autopilot. Your senses are there, your eyesight, your reflexes are all there, but your brain's engaged in something completely different.
Well, that's actually called hypnosis, meditative state, where we've done the same thing, like even riding a bike. It's the same kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying this because I'm learning about this in class, because I'm doing my hypnosis degree. Yeah. And they talk about how we don't realize time has passed, particularly when we're driving our cars or like riding the bike, because we've done this 1,000,000 times as a mundane task. So our subconscious takes over and we become in this meditative state. So I can see that, like as a possibility.
Exactly. That seems like it be more along the lines of hypnosis or any other way that your own body is just sort of checked out. Yeah, autopilot.
Yeah.
So
autopilot. Yeah.
Okay, so what's a coma?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
Because your mind stops.
It is so strange. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like your mind literally stops. When you wake up, it's like no time passed.
Yeah.
You remember conversations that happened 5 weeks to 2 years ago like they happened just 5 minutes ago.
It's like you just put it on pause.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend that was in a car accident and he was gone. He was out for 3 months in a coma. And first time I didn't even know he'd been in a wreck. He showed up at a basketball tournament, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I just got out of the hospital." "Oh, wow, what happened?" "I was in a car wreck." "Oh." I said, "Yeah, 3 months ago." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah."
God.
He said, "Yeah, I went." Well, actually, it was 5 months ago. He had just gotten out, but he'd done his therapy and everything. But yeah, he says he didn't remember anything. He says he remembers getting in the car and driving, and he had turned on this one street, and there was a long highway, but he remembers the stoplight to turn onto the highway, and that's it. And,
wow.
So, and he was a ways down the highway before he had the accident. So, but that's the last thing he remembers is that one moment at that stoplight, and that's it. He has 3 months gone. Just, the world went by without him.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there's a theory of time not stopping in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be frightening to me. I don't know that I'd like the idea of like, yeah, you get a really good nap, but you know, even when you're sleeping, you dream. So you at least have that. You're engaged in something subconsciously. Your brain is,
right.
But yeah, I can't even begin to, comprehend how you would just wake up and like, well, I just remember turning at the light. What the hell happened?
Yeah. It's
So
really so scary. Like,
but
ultimate fear.
Hey, you survived the wreck. So yeah, I guess you get cheated out a few months, but you didn't die. So
Yes. Yeah. Who knows which one you should pick? Yeah.
Friend.
Well, I've actually had this other thing, but you guys have said a little bit before. Maybe you think it's because of my mediumship, but I was driving. This is just an interesting thing that happened to me. That I'm like, well, was that like a time slip or what? What was that? But I'm driving the car. It was about a year ago, in August, basically, and I'm going up to Michigan. Same trip we take every year because my parents live up there. And we weren't that far away from like the house, probably 30 minutes or something. And this little green car pulls up around like my car. So it's like we're on the highway. And this little green car and I are kind of just keep going around each other kind of thing. Like we're following each other a little bit through the traffic. And she was just like this woman who I saw in the car. She was just zipping along. And I saw her. And I saw this older lady in the passenger seat, and it looked like the driver was continuously talking to the passenger. And so probably about an hour and a half goes by. I mean, I'm still following this lady. We're kind of helping each other through traffic kind of thing, like, okay, now you get over, okay, I'll get over, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden I look over, and I realize that the lady she's alone now in the car. And this woman was next to her this entire, like, probably hour and 40 minutes. And now she's all of a sudden gone. So I talked to my husband, like, tell me that you see that there was, like, a lady in the car. Like, this woman, we've been following, like, her. There was two people in the car. And I think it looked like it was her mother. It was an older lady that was next to her, and she kept smiling. And they were talking the whole time. And my husband's like, no, I have only seen one person in the car, and it looks like her. Because you know how you mount your phone? Like, I even have the thing where you put the phone up on your, the glass, right, of your front, your car, that kind of thing. And so, but hers was stuck up there in, like, a little phone holder. And he's, like, pointing out that he thinks that she's talking, this woman has been talking on the phone the whole time. And it looked to me like she was talking to the other person sitting next to her because she was kind of talking towards the middle of her car where her phone was. So it was really crazy, but I never forget that experience because, I mean, we drove next to her for like an hour and a half, 40 minutes tops, and saw the woman in the car the entire time. All of a sudden, I look over when she's next to me and I see she's alone. So...
Oh.
Yeah. Thoughts, I guess, because I still feel like, did that just happen? And it's been a while.
Yeah.
Were you on anything? I'm honestly asking. Not.
No, I mean, I was driving my car, and I had my kids. I mean, we were going on a family vacation for a week, so no. It was probably like 10 in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I don't take any prescriptions. So, I mean, it was pretty crazy that I saw this. And I've told a few people, like, okay, yeah, this person was there and now she's not. My theory is that I saw a ghost, basically, of the mother, must be this woman's mother. And she was smiling the whole time. Like, I thought they were having this, girl, like family, was it mother-daughter, like trip. And I thought to myself in the very beginning, oh, that's so sweet. She is taking a trip with her mom, even though she's this old. I mean, the woman looked like she was well into her 70s, kind of haggard looking, like in terms of not taken care of very well. Like her hair wasn't really done. She was wearing a white gown kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Yeah. With that much detail, then that's obvious. I mean, you saw something. You saw what it. I mean, it was there. Just a matter of what exactly it was that you were witnessing.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I was like, well, have I gone to like, in a way, like, is it a time slip of I'm seeing the past with the two of them, and the woman wasn't ever there, but then my husband saw the woman, saw the car, but did not see the other woman. So yeah, like the mother with her, if it was a mother. So yeah, I was like, I'm not crazy because at least the car existed,
Well, I guess so you can have more than one person experience the same time slip. And that would be what you want two people went through, because usually, it's our own individual experience as well. We, me with the bicycle,
right?
Eric and Jeremy. Well, Eric had somebody with him.
He had someone with him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's true. That's a good point.
But usually it's always the notion it's usually almost always a person, not multiple people. But that's
because I asked my children and they're like, no, the lady was always alone. So, because they saw her too.
So I would go with he probably saw a spirit.
Yeah, I think so. I always wondered about that though, because it's like, well.
Either that or your kids were trying to drive you nuts and tell you, hey, no, you're crazy.
The funny thing is that, like, was the only time that they were probably quiet was, like, that first 2 hours of the trip. And then after that, they were like hellions. So, yeah, it's funny. You give them McDonald's, they were quiet.
So I had a similar experience, but mine was drug-induced. So when I got out of the hospital from my car accident, I had to come from Seattle to Concrete, and my mother-in-law drove me and Kayla, and she stopped on the way to get me and bought me a marijuana drink. And she said, take this and then you won't feel anything on the way there. Mm-hmm. She didn't explain how it worked. So it had a shot glass. Yeah, it had a shot glass on top of it, and I thought that's a really weird cap, and I threw that away. And I just drank the bottle.
Oh, God.
So apparently you're only supposed to drink, it's supposed to be 20 shots in this bottle.
And you drink
and
the
it's
whole
10 milligrams of weed per shot. So I drank 200 milligrams in one go. And then if you guys look in the Discord, I saw this thing driving down the highway.
The Charlie Bell van.
Yeah. With pulling Snoopy's house.
Yeah. And
I didn't say crap to anyone. I was not admitting that I saw this thing. And Fred, about this picture was taken 2 years ago. We saw it at the fair.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I'm like, Kayla, can you see that thing? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And I explained it to her, and I'm like, so when we were coming home from the hospital, I saw that on the road, and I didn't think it was actually there.
You saw Snoopy driving down the road.
Well, I've actually had hallucinations, like that's more of a hallucination, I think, but I've had hallucinations when I should not have been driving when I had COVID. Like the beginning of COVID, and then they were like, they sent me to the hospital because of a health condition I had, that I had to get the IV, like pumped through with all the stuff or whatever to try to get you better faster, which actually made me worse. But I should never have been driving a car. And I'm driving by myself down the highway, and I had this vision of a cop, barreling down the highway. with its lights on and the siren and everything. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared. Like, I'm waiting for it to pass me. I was waiting for it to pass me on my right. And then I'm like, well, where the hell did that go? They must have gotten off the exit. But then I'm like, I don't think I passed an exit. Then later on, I see another cop car on the side, like on the left side where you're not supposed to pull people over and stop. And it was almost hanging in the road. And I thought I was going to hit it. It was really scaring me and freaking me out. And I got there and I told the nurse, I was like, I should never have driven here. I'm pretty sure I hallucinated all these cop cars. I mean, I've never had this experience in my life. I mean, I'm a person who, people call me a prude all the time in school or whatever, and that's fine with me. I've never taken drugs in my life like that, of course, on purpose. Painkillers, yeah, of course. After I was pregnant or something like that, you have painkillers because I had C-sections. That's about it. But no, this has never happened to me before. And I told the nurse, I said, I'm hallucinating, I think, these cop cars. And she goes, oh, honey, I've heard every story, but cop cars is the number one. And I'm like, what? And she's like, no, this is a thing. Like, people hallucinate cop cars. So you should really be here. You really need the IV. I'm like, what the hell? And I was so excited to drive home. It was really scary.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I've ever had like a hallucination ever. Oh. So, mostly I just see spirits and I'm like, do you see that? People are like, okay, well, it's interacting with me. So I know that it's a spirit. It's usually a spirit with a message coming like, you have to tell blah, 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 who's ever beside me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's a spirit. I'm not crazy. But the life of a medium. Yeah, that was the first time I've had that happen. That was really frightening.
I've had quite a few. So I went into the hospital once and Kayla came into my hospital room. I was in there because I had sepsis. No, that wasn't sepsis. I had my appendix removed, so they had me on all kinds of drugs. And then all of a sudden, the doctor came in, and he was in a hazmat suit, and he said, we think you might have swine flu, so no one's allowed in this room. So they did allow Kayla in there, but they put her on in the hazmat suit, and she walked into my room, and I am sitting there waving my arms in the air. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm playing Sonic Olympics on the Wii. I didn't have a Wii in the room. Sonic Olympics wasn't due to come out for another 2 months. I played the entire game. I did great.
Yes.
Hi, Irma. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello.
Irma's here.
I'm still learning how to work this thing.
Ren.
Well, now, Cole, you were talking about that marijuana soda thing. See, Paula, we were living in Everett. Of course, getting to the weed store was a little easier. Her dad had been doing this stuff for years for her mom. To the extent he had his own thing to make to break the stuff down, the CBD to make the oils and everything else. But he said, well, she doesn't really smoke. She can't smoke the stuff. And, of course, the candy's an option. And so I was talking to the guy at the counter. I went with her dad one time. And I was like, yeah, I'd get something for her, but she really doesn't smoke. I said, well, they have these drinks, right? I said, okay. And he goes, now, here's the thing I want you to understand. And this is a stoned-out hippie guy that's sitting there selling me marijuana juice. And he's sitting there going, yeah, dude, you got to make sure you don't give her any more than the bottle cap, okay, at one time. Yeah. And I said, I figured as much because I would assume you get really, really wasted. And he goes, no, dude, we've had people die. I'm like, oh. He said, yeah, a couple of people had heart attacks. Yeah. Whoever was making the stuff. So apparently they had been sued because there wasn't clear enough instructions on the the bottle or whatever. So they had to, we got to make sure everybody covers their bases, so, because people would just take them whole. And so that's a testament to you, Cole. You took one down and didn't die.
Right? Friend,
Here you go.
Wow.
you know that at this point, though, one candy could probably kill me if in the right situation.
Probably.
Do you know how much sugar they have to put in those candies to actually make them edible?
God, I can only imagine.
It's almost the equivalent of 2 Cokes.
Whew.
Jeez.
As a diabetic, like that could throw me into a diabetic coma right there. I'd be in time slip mode.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
See, I told you I could bring it around.
Yeah.
Friend. No, like it. That's the thing. Like these time slips, a lot of them are going to be just medical situations where it can be a possibility of, number one, your brain shutting down. But the problem is the human brain cannot shut down. Our brains are like sharks. They can't stop swimming.
Yeah.
So
I
it
think
creates something too.
I think mine's a goldfish, and nobody's fed me because I'm pretty much just floating like tail up now at this point. I think my brain's been a long time.
But you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense too, because even in death, like, we still technically have a brain. We just don't have a body anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, communicating with these spirits, it's like, yeah, I'm alive, I'm well, like on the other side kind of thing. I just don't have a body anymore. And, they're thinking and they're planning things out. It's the same as when they're alive. So I don't think that our brains really ever die, per se. It's just our body does.
But because it can't shut down fully, it has to create something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hence dreams and
So
stuff. Yeah.
So when I think a lot of like the medical time slips, when you have a time slip, it is a possibility that it is creating a subroutine
An illusion.
that you are doing. Although
Interesting.
none of it is actually like in the physical world, but in your own construct.
Well, but what about the missing planes and all that kind of stuff? I mean, like, where did those people go?
Well, okay, so for the one in Alaska, straight into the goddamn Bering Sea.
I think it was like the Alaska Triangle or whatever that was called or something.
Yeah.
It's a few years ago now that I watched it, and I'm like, I never even knew about this plane until I looked it up.
We just saw mention of it actually last night on one of Kayla's shows.
Have you ever heard of the Lake Erie Triangle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a Lake Michigan one.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because my parents live off of Lake Michigan, so yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I never heard of it until last night.
Yeah, it's not very popular. It's like Bermuda Triangle kind of thing too. It's like those two things have kind of taken
for
over.
a while.
But there's missing airplanes, there's missing boats, there's missing people.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and the history was really hard
Methods.
back then. I mean, you're
Methods.
talking like
They stripped it down for
1800s.
parts.
So that's more when it happened. But there's a lot of alien theories behind most of these things too.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've actually sat on the lake and, like, at night, I remember we were sitting there with a bunch of actual strangers. It was an inn, and we just went outside randomly and sat with these people who were having a family reunion. They were really funny and just having some laughs and beers and stuff like that or whatever. I was feeding the kids, marshmallows from the fire. We were roasting marshmallows, and I was taking one off of my son's. Like the marshmallow off the rod, the metal rod thing. And you heard the guy next to me, he was like, what the hell is that? And even my husband, who doesn't believe in any of these theories, spirits, or anything like that, he's like a major skeptic, non-believer. He goes, what is that? And I knew if I heard my husband say that, it was something. I was afraid to look. And it's what they kind of call apparently a flasher, where it just streams out this like quick orb of like a flash, and it goes basically from left to right, this huge flash. Kind of like, a fire alarm, kind of, like
Right.
it would just blink, in a hotel. It was like this huge beam though that shot out in like the middle of the sky over the lake and lit up the whole lake as it did it. And it did it like 12 times and then all of a sudden was gone. It was so strange. I mean, you couldn't tell like the object of what it was coming from. It just was such a bright light. And I got home and I called my one friend who's really into all this alien stuff, and he's like, it was like, oh, you experienced a flasher. What the hell is that? So that's the first time I had heard of that. But
That's
yeah,
not the guy with trench coat just whips open his trench coat and says, "Look at me."
That one.
Okay.
It means something totally different in
Another
downtown
flasher.
Detroit.
That's what I think when I hear flasher. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing about the Great Lakes is, again, these are basically like small scale oceans out there. The weather pattern just tremendous. I mean,
They're
we
huge.
watched a lot of these stories about YouTube videos about ships that the sailing ships that would go out to run from America to Canada, and they never come back, just gone. And back then, of course, no radios like you're talking about. And you would think with modern technology that this sort of thing would happen, like the Malaysia Airlines flight. We would be able to, well, if they shut off, if the person wanted, one of the pilots took over the plane and wanted to crash it, you could turn off all the transponders, all the locators, and off you go. We lost a U.S. Navy fighter jet for like 2 days, didn't we, just recently? And that thing's supposed to have state-of-the-art everything on
The
it.
F-35.
The F-35, yes. And they were like, hey, does anybody see it? Could you just let us know?
Did you? Yeah. Did you hear the fucking 911 call?
I know
Trying to explain to the 911 operator that, well, is the patient hurt? Well, ma'am, I just fell 2,000 feet with a parachute. My back's kind of messed up, but I'm okay. Well, where's the airplane? Yeah, come on now. He told her like 3 times. I fell I jumped from the airplane because the airplane doesn't work. It's malfunctioning.
It depends on where he was making the phone call from. They might have thought he was on something else. And
So you're saying
think
it's
it
not
would
like a
be-
treadmill where it has this little cord that attaches to it?
No. No.
So he never loses it?
Not sure.
oh my
There's a famous, I don't think it's a Fitzgerald, because they're saying it sank 10 to 15 miles off the coast of Whitefish Point in Upper Peninsula. But there's, like, I thought a famous one that sunk in Lake Erie, actually. It was an F something. But Fitzgerald or Franklin or something like that. But there's a lot of them that are, like, just don't come back. And everybody's like, okay, we got to find it. So they're just always trying to comb it and find it. With the technology today, they found a lot of stuff that I couldn't believe. Really interesting. So
yeah, it's fascinating that we've been able to track down so many deep water wrecks now. But the thing is, the ocean is such. This planet is a tremendous amount of water to it. So just go bye-bye night. Well, it took them 5 years. There was a jet that was flying out of South America headed to Africa. It was one of theirs, and it just vanished. They had no idea. It was missing for 5 years, and finally they were able to. Some guys got together and they plotted out what they thought might be the actual location. Sure enough, they sent down an ROV and they found it.
Wow.
But yeah, it's possible to do. But like the Net Malaysia Airlines, if it went into the ocean full speed, nose down, it'd be like what happened at Shanksville on 9/11, where that plane just nothing left of it, just little bitty
Nothing
pieces.
left. Yeah.
Yep.
So I want to go back to the original one that Rosella asked about, the Alaskan one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You asked where the planes went.
Right.
Friend, so we saw that plane in a documentary last night, and I can't remember which documentary it was now. Friend, I think it was just an ad for a documentary. But we also watched a movie this last night too, before we went to bed, and it was called The Ice Road. Friend, did you know that there's 3 million lakes in Alaska? Lakes.
Lakes. Okay.
Million?
3 million.
All of
Oh my God. How's that possible?
There are 3,197 officially named natural lakes out of 3 million unnamed natural lakes, approximately 67 named artificial reservoirs, and 167 named dams. Now, the thing is, with that number, these are all lakes over 5 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Have you
I think it was
ever
called the Douglas plane. I just looked it up.
have you ever seen how fast a lake that is disturbed by something refreezes?
No.
Well, no, but I can only imagine because I've been to Michigan, so.
Takes 15 minutes. 15 minutes for the ice to cover completely.
Wow.
Those planes, it's very possible they're at the bottom of any one of those lakes because
Yeah.
you never freaking find them again. Most of those lakes, most people haven't even actually visited by land.
Right. Well, now the other part is Alaska is largely just wilderness by itself. I mean, it's not just you don't just go and it's got the forests are dense, and if they don't land up on the top of a mountain, if they just crash into the side of a mountain or drop into the middle of a forest, it's likely there isn't going to be anybody to discover that for decades ever. It's just because we just don't get out there. It's just too far out in the middle of nothing. So
Well, it's like you watch these. I watch a lot of the Alaska stuff, like even the airport Alaska. Was it called like Ice Airport or something like that? But it's really interesting because they were like they find planes years later, just like you said, like in the wilderness because nobody ever goes over there. They have to fly because there is no inhabitant. There's nobody living out there. You have to fly everywhere.
Yeah.
So they'll find traces of plane wreckage like 3 years later. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, plus this says it was 1950, this Douglas airplane. Canada and U.S. had lots of like forces trying to find it. But you have a very good point, and especially using technology back then, and if it was dark or something out, I mean, you probably wouldn't find it.
Well, even today, when one of the trucks goes missing off the ice road,
Yeah.
it's 8 months before they can find it now.
God.
Because the heat signature is gone as soon as it hits the water.
Mm-hmm.
Friend, I just
Wow.
posted the link for the movie that we watched last night.
Oh,
Friend,
okay.
you guys should check it out. It's on Netflix. It immediately made Kayla ask, would you ever do this? Because I did drive truck for a little bit. And it was an immediate fucking no. Friend, I like life. Friend, and when you watch this movie, it actually will show you how quick a truck can go into the and what has to be done to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason all of them have that little hula girl.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it checks if you are going too slow on the ice, it can't take the tire pressure, like the pressure on your tires. You'll break through. If you're going too fast, you'll actually create a wave in the ice ahead of you.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Oh,
that
my
makes sense.
God.
So
you're going to have the hula girl dancing just right.
yeah, because if she's not dancing just right, friend, you're either going too fast if she's dancing real crazy, or if she's not dancing at all, you're going too slow and you're going to break through.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like
I don't want that job.
No, I'll stick to my readings with my spirits.
but it is a really good movie. Like Rick, you'll like it. It's got Liam Neeson and Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it
Yeah.
out.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
But you know, there was a television show on History that about ice road truckers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called.
Yep. That's
You said this is a movie, though.
Yeah, this one's a movie. It's pretty much based off the same thing. Ice Road Truckers did a season that was based off of the trip that these guys take.
Okay. So the TV, the series is based off the movie.
No, the series is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, the series
Okay.
is real.
Okay.
This is like based
So
off of.
they do Alaska, they do the Northwest Territories, Yukon Territories, Nunavut, and Manitoba.
Okay.
This one is just a movie based off of one of the trips in Manitoba.
Ah,
Okay.
gotcha. Oh, and back to the plane thing. Paula actually, her best friend growing up, or when she was living in Alaska growing up, her best friend lost her dad. Her dad was a bush pilot and was flying some hunters out to go to their camp there and everywhere else that they could go out and go hunt, I guess elk or whatever it was they were going to hunt. But they never came back and they've never found the plane.
Yeah.
They're out there, just somewhere out there in the middle of the wilderness, but it's a little bitty plane. And, it's one of those little bush planes, and you see little short takeoff and landing planes. And they've never, it's been 20 years now, 25, 30, I think. It's probably longer than that. Probably 35 years.
And it's just amazing how much time and that you can have to find something that somebody would see something.
Right.
And I mean, that's just like, I think the hardest thing to like wrap your mind around, like, how did no one see this by now?
Yeah.
But yeah, that wilderness thing is definitely real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
And it does happen here in the States. There was a U.S. senator from back in the 50s was on a plane somewhere over Utah, and that plane just vanished, and they didn't find it until the night. So, and it was just by happenstance. It was just it was out in the middle of the wilderness out there in the mountains, and some people were out hiking and just stumbled across it.
Wow.
So, the only way they were able to ID it was just because of plane parts. They were able to get the serial numbers and everything. So bodies had long been, the animals had taken them off into the woods and everything. So,
Bigfoot. Bigfoot had a snack.
Godzilla movie coming out in December. Trailer's looking awesome. So,
Yeah.
Nah. My husband was like,
and it's set in World War II. It's the end of World War II.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Criminal Minds.
wow.
Let's hear the Japanese.
I'll still be on Criminal Minds.
Have to go find a theater. That would be easy.
Oh,
I love all the Back to the Future things you guys are posting. It's funny. I just love Back to the Future. So.
Friend,
If I told you that were that easy.
Yeah.
So next week we're into October. So what do we want to talk about?
I think that's the one that I'm going to miss is next week. Yeah. Don't talk about anything fascinating if I'm not going to be there.
Friend.
You want to do a witch show?
Hey,
Do you want to do witches right then?
Huh?
Do you want to do witches then, or do you want to wait a few weeks?
We'll wait a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think we should do that during Halloween.
Well, all of October will be Halloween. I'm just trying to...
Well,
Let's do...
You can read the minutes from your coven meeting.
Bad omens.
Bad omens.
That's a good one.
That'll work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are out of here. Friend, we are now 10 seconds over our actual time. So thank you very much for listening tonight. Friend, we've got Eric Cooper, Rick Persley, Rosella Ciro, and me, Cole Wigleitner. So thank you again for joining us. Hopefully we'll have our other three back next week. Friend, with that, everybody say bye.
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 Thank you.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.